If I was in the market for a small, fun, good-looking hatchback, the Mazda 3 has always been an option for me. I don't understand why we don't see them more out on the streets because they're so good looking. And Mazda have now updated the 3 for 2023 to make it even better. So what we're gonna have a look in this video is the new turbo from the front, side, and rear, and also the interior. The interior, some might think it look a little dated, which it kind of does, but I really like that it does look a little dated, specifically the gauge cluster. Gonna have a look at that in just a second. First of all, let's have a look at this article from Car and Drive. I'm gonna link this as always down below in the description. So let's see what's new here for 2023. I think, as I said, the hatchback is one of the best looking hatchbacks out. It's just a beautiful, stunning design. The 3 is available as either a sedan or a hatchback. I would definitely go hatchback right here, and both are equally as handsome and agile. Yes, the sedan is also good looking. Hatchback, though, takes that to another level. You have 2 4-cylinder engines are offered. You can have all-wheel drive if you want, though that means skipping the excellent 6-speed manual. Why would you do that, Mazda? Why would you not give us the opportunity to have the 2.5 liter turbo in all-wheel drive and a manual transmission? Why would you have to put that in automatic? I'm not sure, but that's what you get. The new entry-level engine, the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, now puts out 191 horsepower, which is a 5 horsepower bump. And here you can see all the trim levels. So you have the base, select, preferred, carbon edition, premium, turbo, and turbo premium plus, which just by the name you can tell that has to be the top level. The one I would pick here is probably the turbo, and I want that in all-wheel drive, but I can't have it in a manual transmission. It doesn't make sense to me. I would still want to have the turbo though, even though I have to go with the automatic. And I've heard this a lot from a lot of people and a lot of articles saying that the hatch big backside compromises visibility. I don't care about that. In most cases, I prefer having a nice styling over, 100% functionality. If it compromises visibility a little bit, but if it looks this good, I'm totally okay with that and I actually prefer it. You have heated front seats and a power adjustable driver's seat with memory settings. Those who want all-wheel drive will need to go with either the Carbon Edition or Premium models, which is offered as an option, or one of the turbo models as they come standard with that feature. So the turbo engine here for 2023, you have a 250 horsepower turbocharged 2.5 liter is available. And as I said, you can get it with a 6-speed manual if they stick with front wheel drive. Bummer. 0 to 60 is done in just 5.6 seconds, which I think is a good number for this type of car. And you have the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder having an EPA rating of 28 mpg city, 37 highway. That is not bad at all. And then you have the turbo models at 23 city and 31 highway, which is still not bad for the performance that you get. On the inside, you have head-up display, heated front seats, and leather upholstery are all reserved for the top-most trims. You also have an 8.8-inch infotainment display, which is standard, and it looks even larger than it is because it's such a small, tiny-looking interior. And I think it's actually pretty nicely integrated in the interior. We're gonna have a look at that in just a second. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto are now standard. You can option for this premium sound system if you like. So let's jump into Photoshop here and let's have a look at this beauty. This is the turbo model. This is a 2023 turbo Mazda 3. And have a look at this handsome face right here. Look at the line flow and the surfacing the Mazda is doing right now. I really hope they retain this styling for a while because I think it looks so good with these kind of fluid almost surfaces in combination with a couple of sharp lines. We have one sharp line right there in the hood. We have another one down here at the bottom. And I love how this headlight graphic housing, the black piece, melts into the bumper and creates one single frame for the entire graphics of the front end. Just a stunning looking design. And this is, as you can see, a pretty large grille for this little hatchback, but it actually suits this car. It fits within the proportions of the front end, and it doesn't make it look oversized in my opinion. But have a look at just how clean the surfacing is up here on the hood. There are no lines in here, like a calm ocean, and then it gets interrupted by this one single sharp line that connects to the corner up top here. I do like the headlights as well. I feel like this just came out, and it definitely still looks like a very modern car to me. The turbo gets some new details down here. For example, this lip spoiler in black, which which I think looks really good. You have some sort of fin in here as well, adding to the sportiness of the turbo models, but still not taking it over the top. It's still a very classy, elegant design. So look at the side view here. This is what people are talking about. You have a lot of mass in this section. There's a lot of surfacing covering up the windows here. The passenger window is not big at all, but who cares about the passenger windows when it looks this good? I don't care about that. That's for sure. I definitely prefer to have a styling that looks this good than giving the passengers a little bit more visibility. Keeping this greenhouse line here, maybe extend a little further like this. One thing I've always loved about current Mazdas is this surface treatment that we have on the side. Look at the reflections here and how beautifully sculpted this surface is, and in addition to this one single sharp line at the bottom that then continues into the bumper here. Such a stunning design. We don't even have a sharp shoulder line. Everything is fluid here and beautifully sculpted surfaces. We have a pretty large chamfer going around the wheel arches, which I like. Adds a little bit of sharpness in this design, which is otherwise super smooth all around. And for the turbo models for 2023, you see up here, we have a nice roof line going right here and then into this new added spoiler up top. We do have a spoiler on the previous models as well, but this is a little bit bigger. We have an additional piece attached to this. One thing I would definitely switch out are these wheels. I would put some nice wheels, maybe lower this about an inch. If you put nice wheels and you lower this about an inch or so, it looks absolutely fantastic, the Mazda 3 hatchback. So looking at the rear view before we jump in and have a look at the interior, same thing here. Look at the fluidity of this surfacing. It doesn't even have a sharp bumper line until it gets to this center point here, and then the bumper fades into the side, and the rear end taillight graphics also look very beautiful. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the front end. So we have a congruent front and rear design for the graphics, and we also have a super fluid tailgate right here, beautifully done. And this is a car that I would just walk around and analyze the surfacing and look at the reflections in the body lines and see what they actually did in the body. For example, this bends, this side here curves a little bit, which you can only see in a specific angle, and then you start to really appreciate what they did with the surfacing of the Mazda 3. And of course, up here we have this new spoiler. You can see that it is an added piece here, so it is actual airflow going through this wing. One detail that I would change here at the bottom, I do like the integration of the we can call this a diffuser, even though it sticks out a little far. But what I like about this black piece down here is that it eats up a little bit of the mass or the volume in the rear and brings up the volumes higher up in the rear. So we have an angle going downwards when we look at this from a 3/4 rear view. But one thing I would change here are these exhaust pipes. I don't think we have any chrome in the front end. We don't have any chrome in the side except for this little trim piece at the bottom of the greenhouse. So I don't want to have chrome pipes on this. I would definitely switch these out and make them matte black maybe, or maybe gloss black. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to experiment with that. Again, if you look at this car, these wheels, they look pretty good, but adding some 19-inch wheels on this and lower it an inch just turns this into a completely new beast of a design. So let's have a look at the interior here. I love this dark red or dark pink almost. I'm not sure what to call this color. It's a beautiful styling of the interior, and look at the simplicity in here. There's nothing crazy going on. We still have physical buttons for the infotainment settings or the climate, the radio, and then you have this up top here. I think this looks pretty well integrated because it sits in this little ravine here in between the back part of the dash and the front side of the dash, which is this color right here. And then they just slot this down here in between, and I think it looks good. They put some effort into making this feel like a part of the interior, and also an angle here on the right side of the screen creates some styling in this interior. And then you can see we have the manual transmission here, which means that this has to be a front-wheel drive version that we're looking at right here. So let's have a look from this angle. And here's what I love about the gauge cluster. Some might say it's outdated. Why don't they have a big digital screen right here where you can adjust and fiddle around with all kinds of settings? I actually think that having a 2023 model with all analog gauges, in this day and age, it actually feels refreshing. It's a little brighter photo, so you can see what's going on here with the line flow and how this is integrated the screen again behind The front part of the dash and in between the rear part kind of just slots in right here. It's a nice integration of the infotainment screen in my opinion. And you have a proper housing for the gauge cluster, so there's no glare when you're driving on a very sunny day. I also like how these vents are integrated in the overall gauge design. You can see how they stick out on the side and create a nice line flow going into the housing right there. And you have a proper 3-spoke steering wheel. It looks pretty comfortable to play around with the normal buttons here on the side and a nice lower spoke at the bottom. Overall, I think this is a fantastic update by Mazda, keeping the design as it is, like it came out when it came out in 2019, I think it was. Just working around, playing around with the powertrains and adding some power to that. I just wish Mazda would put the manual transmission with the all-wheel drive system. That would be one heck of a fun hatchback to drive with the 250 horsepower turbo engine. I wanted to make this video because I think Mazda deserves some more recognition for the design that they're doing right now, and specifically this gorgeous hatchback, the Mazda 3.